Bill, thank you so much for taking your time to talk with us about Fallout 76.
Absolutely. And it's fun to be here, actually. I love doing these things. So,
and you know what you must love? This year. Because this year, especially for Fallout, for the franchise as a whole, has been crazy. We all read the headlines where you have had over a million players a day on Fallout 76. How has this year been for you, seeing this game, come full circle? It's Fallout 76 has been like, Cyberpunk 2076. Yeah, 2076. Yeah, Cyberpunk. And No Man's Sky, a game that had done it has been a renaissance for the game. Yeah. How has this been for you, Bill?
Oh, it's been great. It's been great for everybody, and not even just 76. All the Fallout titles, and even some of the Elder Scrolls titles as well. Like all the titles across BGS have actually done well because of this, because of the extended highlights of not only Fallout, but just the fact that they're like, oh, who makes this? Oh, Bethesda does, and they go and they look online, they see that this huge library of content and games, and they start engaging with those games too. So all of us have been lifted, in this thing. But I think the awesome part about this is, one, someone decided to make a TV show about it because it is so rich in content and characters, and it's got its own little flavor and style that's not just the same type of story arcs or the same type of cycles that you would see in a lot of different TV shows. And a lot of times, movies based on games haven't historically done very well, or even shows based on games haven't done very well. So seeing this out now and us actually getting a chance to see the player reaction, but also the fan reaction, people who don't even play the games and don't even know are coming in and watching the show and going, wow, this is an amazing show. And so it's been fun to even field questions from that too, because sometimes they'll be like, the Vault people don't seem to be like great actors. It's like, no, that's actually on purpose. A lot of people in the Vault are lemmings and sheep, and they follow, and that's exactly how they act. It's like, this is very representative of the game. And so when you tell them that, like, oh, okay, like, why is that? It's like, well, you have to think of Lucy as like your character. Like you've got this journey that you're trying to embark on and to find your father or find something to do. And you want to get out in there and explore. And it's so when you actually kind of explain that this is very representative of like what's in the game, they get it, and they're like, this is really cool. But they love the characters. I think Jonah and that team at Kilter did a fantastic job, really giving us something that was very representative of the game and did really true to the game, but also at the same time established its own storyline, its own characters, its own background, which is really amazing. So this year again has been truly something to really celebrate for everybody.
Yeah. And the TV show has also meant you get a lot of first-time players who choose Fallout 76 as their first Fallout game. That is incredible. And also you have a lot of new updates this year, so you have a lot of new stuff to show these players. What do you hope new players experience when trying Fallout 76 for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, when they come in, the thing that they're going to notice immediately is there's so much content. They are right now inundated with a lot of little like pop outs that come up, and it's like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. And sometimes that's a little bit too much, but at the same time, the players know that this is a very full content game. Like, this isn't something that's brand new. It's been out for a long time. We've continued to update it. We've put up some great updates, not only systemically, but also content wise. So yeah, when they come in, they're going to see that this is a very fulfilling game that they can spend a ton of hours in this game doing a lot of different things, whether it's daily ops or events or going into the new Skyline Valley area, and doing the mainline quests even, take quite a bit of time for a new player to come in and actually execute
20 hours, apparently, the new quest line for Skyline Valley, 20 hours.
It's pretty extensive, yeah. And I think the one thing I like about this quest line too is that there's multiple branches that can kind of happen during the quest line itself. So you want to read through the content, you want to learn about the characters, you want to go through that, and then you have to make some decisions along the way that are actually impactful, to the end of it. So that's it's all really well done, and it's one of our best updates.
Yeah, and you expand on the lore as well, I think, with a new enemy variety. These lost What is the story behind these new enemy?
Basically, a how should I phrase this? As with most vaults that you would explore in Fallout, some sort of experiment that went wrong a little bit. So that's kind of the underlying part. You know, you got Hugo coming in, and they were kind of refugees to this area. We're trying to set up this vault, and through some experimentations with the weather machine that was there, they ended up creating some pretty angry people called the Lost.
Yeah,
and so you got a lot of I don't want to spoil some of the story that's there. I want people to engage with it and go through it. But yeah, you can kind of attribute it to a very Fallout-y, type of experience where you've explored, whether it's in Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas, any of the other vaults you've gone into, like, what happened here? And usually it's like, oh, these people tried to experiment and tried to do something really cool and neat. It did not work out. So that's kind of the very similar, kind of story. But yeah, we bring in the Lost here who are affected by this, and they kind of figure out that they can manipulate the weather machine to create cracks, in the ground to escape the manor. So that's kind of the underlying, element there.
Crazy. And I just want to pick up on the lore stuff. Oh, hello, Jonathan.
So sorry.
Better late than never.
Hey, that's always
I was just about to ask a question about the lore in Fallout. So I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and what I really appreciate is that the new games like Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, Squadrons even, they all connect to the overall story and the overall canon in Star Wars. You have to have some kind of lore line for the Fallout universe. How do you handle that? How do you handle it so it connects to Fallout 3, Fallout 4, New Vegas, and of course the TV show? What do you do, man?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. So using the two bookends of the timeline, we've got the show and we've got 76, right? And then everything in between. So on the team, we're fortunate to have like a whole army of lore experts, really, that as we're writing this stuff or coming up with these ideas are able to raise concerns. No, this conflicts with something that happened in 3. No, they hadn't discovered this yet. The benefit of being on 76 is that we're so far back. We've got a lot of room to play with, so long as we're not stepping on anything that had been talked about later on. We'll say T60 is an exception to that. Just look the other way when we're talking about the T60. But no, it's definitely, it can definitely be a really challenging aspect to take in mind when you're coming up with new stories, new lore. Like Skyline Valley is a great example of this. The initial ideas conflicting with things that happen down the road, having to change course and get something that fits to continue and support telling the Fallout story in Appalachia.
But also new enemy types like the Lost. You have to have some kind of, reservations about creating new enemy types for a game. Mm-hmm. Or what? Yeah.
Well, the Lost, they have their name going for them, right? They were lost. Yeah. So of course, nobody knew about them. They were lost.
Wow, you're a genius.
So having them just by their very nature sort of tucked away and kind of quiet helps support the idea that helps support it not conflicting with any of the other titles. And us, of course, being way far away in West Virginia helps that too.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to ask this. So I played a lot of Fallout when the TV show came out, like everybody else. And hey, Jonathan, congratulations! You became creative director on Fallout 76 this January.
I did, yeah. I think so. It was January. Yeah.
So you can take take the honor of this year.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. It's if anything,
the success has happened under your guidance.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. I appreciate the compliment. Really, what I do and the way I talk about the game is a culmination of what the rest of the team has done. Right? Yeah. it's helping them shape the roadmap, and then them coming up with these features and seeing them to completion is what really made the game shine. Concerning the show, it was so cool to see how close tonally that show was to all the Fallouts, right? And so people going into the show and being, hey, this is great, I want more of that. 76, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, and being able to get more of that experience. Really,
I mean, it's the best TV show of the year. It's incredible that it's based on a video game. It's so awesome.
Who's your favorite character in it?
I think it's Lucy, actually. I think she's so fun and so optimistic, and the okie dokie is so awesome. I really love Lucy. Of course, Walter Goggins is also cool and stuff, but he's Walter Goggins. I've seen him plenty of times in Justified and all the other stuff, the Hateful Eight and stuff. I think Lucy is such an interesting character, and she represents a new player in the game fantastically, I think. I really love Lucy. Yeah.
Thaddeus was funny.
Yeah.
Paradise dead. Yeah.
The whole TV show is awesome. But I
do appreciate the compliments. I really view my role as kind of being the personification of the rest of the team's efforts. It's really we would be nowhere without all these talented folks.
I know. I'm also joking. I know. This game has been on just an upward trajectory. Is that the word? Yeah, sure.
It is now.
It has just gone upwards since you launched almost. It's fantastic to see where the game is right now. I have to ask, this is like the 20th update to the game, Lau told me.
I can count, yes.
Yeah.
A 54th patch.
Yeah.
How many times, how long can you keep updating this game without updating the engine and stuff?
So I think the strength of this game is the story, right? And how players experience that in our Appalachia. Each patch, we are introducing small upgrades to the engine. We have a patch coming out not too long that has some nice graphical upgrades that players are going to notice right away. So as far as how long can we support this game on this engine? Forever. We've got no shortage of ideas. We've got no shortage of enthusiasm from our wonderful community. Bethesda Game Studios has the best community in gaming, so we can keep this going forever.
So I'm both excited to hear that and saddened. I'm saddened because I want crossplay. And Todd Howard broke my heart earlier this year when he said, "Yeah, it's very hard to do." So, but do you have any tricks? Maybe you're much smarter than Todd Howard. Do you have any tricks to?
Definitely not. No, crossplay is something that we've discussed a number of times in the past. Different solutions and new solutions always seem to come up. Possible solutions always seem to come up each time we discuss it. So it is hard. Like Todd said, it's very tough. It's not impossible, but it is tough. We'll probably keep talking about it. And if something looks like it pans out and makes sense, then yeah, we'll execute on it, but no promises.
I what's also fantastic about Fallout 76 is that it surprised me that it's so easy to play it as a single player experience. Is that something that you always plan out when you do the updates, the expansion, that you have to play it both as a single player experience and as a cooperative multiplayer MMO thing?
Absolutely. Yes. The single player experience is really core to what the Fallout games in the past have been. So being able to preserve that, if players want to play that way, they can. And then, of course, if players want to take advantage of the multiplayer aspect, of course they can. It's a multiplayer game. So, yeah, we do talk about that constantly when we're working on new features, both from the start all the way through until they're released on a patch.
Okay, so I'm talking way too much. I'm giving the ball to Lau over here.
Thank you, Morten. So I was playing a couple of hours of Fallout 76 last night, and I have been checking out this new area, Skyline Valley, which looks very different, I think, from other areas in the game, with these thunderstorms and almost pink environments sometimes. So I was just wondering, because I haven't tried Milepost Zero yet, how does that update fit in this area?
Sure. So Skyline Valley, in real life, the Shenandoah Park, right, has a road that goes through it called Skyline Drive. For our update, Skyline Drive, I'm going to use my rectangle here as sort of the rough boundaries for the region. Skyline Drive circumnavigates the whole area. So that was planned from the onset, like, hey, it would be great to have a caravanning experience happen along Skyline Drive in Skyline Valley. So what does that mean? Players can't build there. So of course, players on PTS were like, why can't we build on this road? We can't tell you, but that's why they couldn't build on there, because there'd be caravan routes going along that way. So the way it fits into 76 is, again, going back to the previous Fallouts, caravanning has always been in Fallouts, right? Mm-hmm. So bringing that even more into 76 sounded like a lot of fun. We've got the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, which players love. That's probably one of our most popular factions. So, what the hell? Let's bring Blue Ridge Caravan Company down to Skyline Valley. Let's get some caravans going. So that's how it fits, I guess, tonally. As far as how it fits with the multiplayer aspect of the game, these caravans are kind of like public events, where folks, if they're walking by, hey, that looks like fun, and they can hop in and start doing it with you and still get rewards in the end. So it's a very engaging, cooperative experience. You can run more than one at a time, which is great. So yeah, I think totally kind of fits how I described. I'm not sure if is that the answer you were.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
I have another question. Sorry, Lau, but I'm a talker. Okay, yeah. So I have to ask you guys. So with games, not just Fallout, but online games, you get constantly a lot of feedback. How do you choose what kind of feedback you implement and take under consideration? And do you have an example on something the community has said, we want that, and you have said no initially and then implemented it anyways and had a good experience?
Examples.
Yeah. Okay.
I have an answer. I'm sure Bill, you've probably got a pretty unique perspective on this as well. You wanna take it away, and then I can cover.
At risk of taking what you were about to say, honestly, Skyline Valley is one of those. They've always wanted an expansion to the map and a region, and we've always wanted that too. But we've said no in the past, just due to other, technical limitations at the time or things like that. But Skyline Valley, we have a lot of combat, related things that are in there too. Whether it's types of weapons or types of armor, things like that. But regarding the community in general, they're so engaged. They give us tons of feedback, and it's all across the game. It's, quests and missions and systems and all that kind of stuff. And we just take it in stride. It's like, okay, does this fit within the course of what our current, roadmap kind of is? Like, is there anything here that would help support, what we're currently doing, and that would give it a value to it? So yeah, but there's, like John said, there's lots of different examples that he probably has, but I just wanted to point out that Skyline Valley is certainly one of those right now. That's certainly, important.
Yeah, so our community gives us a lot of great feedback. We listen to it all, we read it all, we go through all of it. Very specific things, like we want this specific thing. Most of the time, yeah, that's a neat idea. But what we usually do with the community feedback is we take it and we look at the broad strokes, right? We look at what are people saying. So
that's all right.
It's like an Arkaden tradition that Morten Spurn is crashing the party.
2 seconds. That's great. I have a very important question. Lau, talk. I'll get rid of the kids.
What you got to do? I can wait.
I was reading up on this legendary crafting system, which also seems to be a new system. Is it also something from the community, or is it an idea from you?
Both, observing players and playing the game ourselves, we noticed that players really like particular play styles, right? Like bloody builds, for instance. And instead of solely relying on RNG exclusively for their gear and not really being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel for getting to where they want to go, this revamped system kind of gives them that beacon way down the road, so they can at least see where they need to go to progress to get the gear they want. So it'll allow people to shape their gear much more in line with how they want to play. But also, since getting that kind of gear isn't so prohibitive, since they have a lot more agency in doing so, likely encouraging them to explore different ways of playing the game too. So I think it just kind of makes it more fun for everybody. It also, side benefit is it opens up a kind of a new economy in the game too, right? Through the legendary mods. You can scrap legendary gear now. It's armor, power armor, weapons. And every time you scrap legendary gear, you have a really small chance of learning how to craft one of the mods, legendary mods that was on the gear that you scrapped. So, hey, hats off to whoever learns how to craft bloodied first, because you'll be swimming in caps, I'm sure. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It also gives us as developers a bit more agency in that, hey, here's a new mod that you can earn by going through this experience in the game, or here's a new mod that you might find along the seasonal track, or here, things that might be kind of out of the normal loop that players might find fun. They can get the mod, put it in their weapon, and try it out.
I have a question. I need to ask this. So earlier this year, there was, I think, a fun instance that happened in Fallout 76. So players around the world were at this time a little unsatisfied with the Xbox leadership team, and players nuked Phil Spencer for his camp in Fallout 76. How did you guys react when you saw this?
I'm a big fan of nukes. I liked seeing that Phil, not long after, went through and learned the quests on how to drop the nukes himself. So
it was awesome.
That's great.
It was so awesome, man. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. I've had my camp nuked plenty of times. I think it's fun. Hey, I love the nukes in our game. I think they're great.
Yeah. Okay, great. If I don't know if our time soon is up, so I'll try to get some quick questions in here.
I can stay a bit longer since I was late. If other folks can too, it's I'm flexible. I apologize for being late.
It's so good. We're just happy to be to get this opportunity to talk to you guys. I just want to know how many teams work on expansions, because you're able to get them out pretty rapidly. Every year you get a big expansion, or every half year. Is that right, Lau?
Yeah, it's happened pretty frequently recently, I think. Yeah.
How many teams work on these expansions? Because it must take time and resources to make all this content.
I don't know, like if there's a line drawn for like, here's team A and here's team B. It's usually just a group or strike teams of developers who are involved with these various features. If anything, it's kind of more like roadmap planning wizardry from Mr. LaCoste here himself to see what fits. Is it feasible? Are we going to be able to finish this? I think Bill could probably give you a much better answer than me.
Yeah, I mean, it's still one team in general. Like this is the 76 team, but as John said, we have a lot of crossover between the teams, like, artists and animators and character artists, and also our quest design, level design, system design. They all take part in pretty much all of the features that go in in some way, shape, or form. We do have remote external developers as well who assist us on all this content. And they do a great job as well. They are a little bit more of an isolated team because they've got their full team there together with them. But even they do multiple features at the same time. So, in essence, again, we're all one, massive team. We're all working on the content together. We're all playtesting the content together, giving feedback on the content together. And it's really like John said, there's a little bit of wizardry and magic that goes on there, just making sure we got enough people and they're all scheduled correctly, and that we adhere to a lot of the principles we have from our development team, how we execute. So.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. This year we. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say Bethesda Game Studios is really fortunate in that our developers are really multidisciplinary. We've got programmers doing really high-level design work. We've got studio directors making animations for the game. I mean, it's nuts. So a lot of people on these teams, they always wear a lot of hats. So it makes it very organic and a lot easier to come out with more features or more complicated additions to the game consistently.
So that makes a kind of flexibility. Yeah. And it's been quite impressive, as Morten said, this year has been a lot of content. We have the Atlantic City expansion, or we have Skyline Valley, and now Milepost Zero. So looking at the road ahead, what's next for Fallout 76?
Well,
we know you can't say. It's okay.
No, not
just give us a little tease, man.
Not easy at all, but I'm looking at my monitor here, and I've got the schedule right in front of me. I don't know if you can see the reflection.
So close.
So going back to your question about like community feedback and whatnot, right? So we do pay attention to that. And a big thing that we've noticed from our players is, hey, we want the next big challenge. Hey, we want the next big, step forward in power. And so a lot of our roadmap going forward, we've got a ton of crazy cool stuff planned, which you all be finding out about pretty soon. But it's themed around what's the next big thing? What's the next big thing I can do? What's the next cool thing I can have that makes me feel like a crazy badass? And of course, at the same time, supporting our builders with new features, such as Best Builds, which has been on PTS, and the possibilities that of where that we can take that. But we've got so much exciting stuff. You guys seriously haven't seen anything yet.
And what kind of games are you inspired by when you make Fallout 76? Where do you seek your inspiration for content? You must look at other MMOs and stuff, or what do you do?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm a voracious gamer. I play tons of games. I also love watching films all the way back to 1920s silent films. I've actually got a lot of inspiration from. The thing about our team, though, is that since it's so organic, right, it's everybody's interests and backgrounds are being represented in the work that we put forward in each patch. Everybody gets to put their own stamp, their own brand on these features. So I don't really think I would be giving a lot of insight and saying what my specific references are, because mine is only just a small piece of the puzzle. But of course, past Fallout games, love Skyrim. I've been playing Darkest Dungeon 1 and Darkest Dungeon 2, and every time I play, I'm like, I'm never playing again. And then I come back and and love watching films. Like I said, music. I kind of get inspiration from everything. From looking at Bill.
I mean, let's be honest. Like Darkest Dungeon, we've all restarted like hundreds of times, right? Like, it's one of those roguelike, type experiences. Kind of like Loop Hero as well. Like, I mean, I don't know how many times I've restarted Loop Hero, but but yeah, that's something that just kind of influences, a lot of our thought process as we go through developing these titles. But we also draw a lot of influence from our own games. I mean, there's Fallout games from the past and a lot of Elder Scrolls games from the past that, kind of help us really just keep in line with what we've been trying to deliver for folks for. There's a special sauce there to the Bethesda games in general. So, we want to keep that going.
What's your favorite Fallout game? And you can't say Fallout 76.
Yeah, I mean, outside of 76, it's 3. Because that was the first time I, walked out of a vault and was presented with this huge open 3D world of just amazing visuals, and it was like, holy cow, this is way different than 1 and 2. Like, this is, I'm seeing this all in 3D and being able to go out and explore, and that's my favorite.
Mine's definitely 4. I probably, when that came out, I put like 400 hours into that in no time at all. And I remember while playing, I'm on the phone or texting with friends. Have you got this? Did you find this? Look at this thing I built. Look at this thing. And thinking, man, I would love to be able to show him this cool weapon I got first. And then when we find out that, oh, we're making a multiplayer Fallout, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. Where do I sign?
What did you do before? What did you do before, Jonathan? Where did you work?
So I've worked in a lot of places. We were a ZeniMax studio before, working on some other games, assisting with Doom, assisting with Prey. And then the opportunity.
Have you been part of Doom and Prey?
Yeah, man. You're not just talking to anybody here.
What? Oh, man. Wow. Okay, so Doom 2016 and Prey. I love a lot of the Arcane.
Small parts.
Take the credit, man.
But the idea for this came up, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then the whole studio got involved, and it just went from there. Prior to those, I was at BioWare working on Star Wars: The Old Republic. I've worked on sports games. I made Lara Croft and Tomb Raider.
You have the craziest man.
My resume is bizarre. Yeah, I just kind of fall into things. Yeah.
And you were you an art director on the other games as well?
No. Fallout 76 was my first official art director role. Also, funny enough, my first producer role. I was actually credited on Fallout 76 as a producer. So I'd been a lead character artist before here and at BioWare and at another place. And so it's, I don't know, varied experiences.
Man, I'm so excited for this whole Fallout 76 renaissance that has been happening. And it must be so exciting to be part of your studio right now. The morale must be sky high. Is that?
We've always loved working on this game. We've always believed in this game, and so is seeing the huge uptick in interest. We're like, yeah, of course.
When did you start?
Of course.
When did you start noticing that the game was getting a fresh set of eyes on it, and that some people's opinions about Fallout 76 were changing?
Kind of slowly over time, but I think it probably really hit hardest when Skyline Valley came out.
Okay. Yeah. So just now?
Well, like I said, slowly over time, it's the content we put out, it's been really polished, and folks have been having fun with it. But Skyline Valley came out, it was a big boom. I think people really love to experience the game on our Appalachia map. They want to be able to build there, tell their own stories. And so I think that type of update really resonated with existing players and new.
Yeah. I am very excited for the future, and I'll make sure to check in with Fallout 76 regularly. Thank you so much for your time. Lau, do you have any final questions for these two very, very talented people?
No, I will just say thank you for your time. It's been an honor talking to you, and it's been very interesting as a Fallout 76 fan.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, great talking to you all. Great questions, and thanks for your time.
Oh, yeah. To get this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day and weekend.
Yeah. See you at Gamescom, maybe.
Thanks very much.
I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there.